Hey, it's the volume of Prisms. You did this in 6th grade, so you better get it right. U8.C8.L4. Go ahead, Miss Benoit.
Hi. Our learning target to go with that today is that you will be able to say, I can calculate the volume of prisms. There are different kinds of prisms, and we'll kind of talk about it as we go through. But as Mr. Romanovich said, you did do this in 6th grade, so this hopefully is a review. By the end of today's lesson, you should be able to find the volume of these two prisms, along with naming what kind of prisms they are. And I will come back to this slide at the end. Okay, so what is volume? Just to remind you, it's a measure of the space inside a 3D shape. How much can fit in? So we're going from 2D shapes to 3D. Now we've been working with area of shapes and composite figures. Now we're putting the shapes together to make a 3D shape and fitting stuff inside. So you see I have a rectangular prism drawn here, some sort of box. And the volume is how much can fit inside. And I tried to draw some cubes that you could see filling up the box. Okay? When we calculate volume, we use a standard formula, and volume for any prism is capital B times H. What the capital B means is area of the base. So depending on what kind of prism you have, will change the value of the capital B. So if we have a rectangular prism, like we do up here, the capital B becomes length times width. That's how you find area of a rectangle. And then you do times height, that's that third dimension. If we had a triangular prism, we know how to calculate the area of a triangle. We learned that. It's 1/2 times base times height of the triangle. And then you would multiply by the third dimension, the height of the prism. Okay, so I have a prism here and I'm asking you a question. First of all, what kind of prism is it? If you look at it, immediately you might want to say cube, but look at the dimensions I have. They're not all the same number. So because they're not all the same number, we're going to call this a rectangular prism. Okay? We have a 5, a 4, and a 3. A length of 5, a width of 4, a height of 3. To find volume, it's area of the base times the height. How do you find the area of a rectangle? Length times width. So replace the capital B, area of the base, with length times width, and multiply it by height. So I have my length and width, and I'm multiplying by height. Actually, I have my numbers in the wrong place, don't I? Silly Mrs. Benoit. It should be 5 times 4, and the height is 3. But that's not going to change my outcome. I would still get 60, these are centimeters, and now we're saying cubed because we're talking about 3 dimensions instead of 2. So for my rectangular prism, it's 60 centimeters cubed. Let's look at another one here. Let me get my boards messed up. Okay, again, what kind of prism do you see? Well, this one does not have all the same sort of face. We have what appears to be some rectangles and some triangles. And since we have 2 triangles that are parallel and will never touch, we would call this a triangular prism. We're going to use the same standard formula. Volume equals area of the base times height, capital B, area of the base. And this time our bases are triangles. So we're going to do the formula for finding the area of a triangle, 1/2 times base times height, and then the height of the prism. So the base and the height of the triangle, in this case this is a right triangle, they make up, the base is 6, the height is 8. They make up the right angle. And then the height of the prism is 9, so I have this one labeled correctly. You would do 1/2 times 6 times 8 times 9, and that would be 216 feet cubed. So for this triangular prism, your volume would be 216 feet cubed. Cubed because we're talking about 3-dimensional shapes. Okay. So because this is review, this is kind of quick, so we want you to try these 2 problems using what you just saw or thinking back to last year. I have a prism on the left and a prism on the right. I'm not going to say any names because I want you to figure that out. Look at the dimensions and figure out how you would then find the volume using the formula area of the base times the height. Good luck.